Coming up on Studio A, we'll take a look at how far women still have to go in order to receive equal pay, and also see how one man uses lids in order to form artwork. These lids may not be the ones you're thinking about. Hello and welcome to Studio A. I'm Leighanne Coleman, and here with me is Candace Evans, Jonathan Borazjani, PJ Theberge, and Nina Durant. So, for decades now, women in America have been in this constant fight to be treated equally to men. However, the biggest roadblock that women have found is getting equal pay. Now, PJ, I know this is your story. Can you tell me a little bit about why you might get more money than I do just for being the opposite sex?
Sure. It's a question of two conflicting laws at the federal level. So on one hand, businesses are meant under the sort of the Hamiltonian economy, which we have built, which is based on Alexander Hamilton. His concept was you let the businesses regulate themselves. That includes hiring practices, how they're going to pay their employees, things like that. And so they're allowed to make those decisions. However, in 1963, JFK signed into law the Equal Pay Act, which was designed to help destroy these gaps between men and women, because at that time it was, I think, a 43-cent gap or something like that. Since then, it's closed about 20 cents, but that's really not enough. And so the question becomes, how do they get these two laws to work simultaneously without having that conflict?
Sounds very interesting. Okay, well, let's go ahead and take a look.
You see it everywhere you look. Women working alongside men, doing the same jobs, often just as well, or better than, their male peers. What you don't see is the difference in salaries between the two genders. The fight for equal pay among men and women is a hot-button issue. President Kennedy signed the Equal Pay Act, designed to abolish pay discrimination based on gender, in 1963. But those fighting for change say that's not enough. We spoke with one law professor at Texas State who said that success may be found by patterning the fight for equal pay after the civil rights and the gay rights movements.
Those all provide game plans or examples of how you can use the law and litigation and cases to try to affect change. And so, no doubt, there are experts in employment law that are looking very closely at this kind of thing. And it's the kind of thing that could spur, some genuine change.
But the legal side of this fight isn't the aspect of this issue that is coming to light. There are those who feel like the social aspects of the issue are far more pressing than the legal ones.
So just how wide is this gender pay gap? Take a look. This is John. For every job that John does, he earns $10. This is Linda. For every job that she does, the same as John, she only earns a little under $8. But what if Linda was African American? Then she earns a little under $7. You know what? Take that back. Linda's Mexican American. She only earns $5.40.
We sat down with Rebecca Ross from the Texas State School of Sociology to discuss what social implications this issue has had.
I would be more inclined to say our perceptions are probably feeding that pay gap, right? And so if we underestimate the abilities of women, then we pay them less, right?
For some, news that the pay gap won't close until 2059 if the current trend continues has them feeling jaded and making other plans.
I'm pretty sure it'll take longer for women to get fair between the whole money situation. If you want to work for it, go ahead and work for it just little by little, but don't expect it to get to you here instantly.
You are virtually guaranteed to know someone who is making less than their male counterpart. So what can be done to fix this problem? Martinez offers up a simple solution.
Regardless of gender, regardless of ethnicity, regardless of any of those other categories, that those categories only serve to isolate people so that we can treat them differently. Let's let this be about merit. Let's let this be about someone's ability to do the job, rather than whether they're male or female or whatever the case might be.
Wow, that was a really motivating piece, PJ. But I want to know what your personal thoughts about equal pay are and what motivated you to do this story.
I mean, I would say I was really motivated by some of the more hot button issues that are coming around right now. It's become this big issue because of the way that the two laws sort of fight with one another. And I would say definitely that I'm a supporter for getting this gap closed. I think it's really important when we're speaking about things that are signed into law 50 years ago and haven't closed all the way. I mean, that seems a little absurd at this point. And the fact that this is only just now becoming a hot button issue after 50 years is maybe even worse.
I agree.
I have a question about the hard facts of progress. Do you know of any prominent cases on this matter?
Sure, I would say the most prominent case right now would be the women's national soccer team, and they may be what got me really interested in this more than anything was being a sports fan like I am, the fact that they get paid significantly less than what their male counterparts do with the men's national soccer team, and so they're lobbying against the the U.S. Soccer Federation to try to get that changed, because at this point they're more marketable, they're more successful. I mean, two World Cups in 12 years, right? I think and we're talking about I know Landon Donovan from the men's team, right? And I'm a sports fan, but he's been kicked off, so he's not actually even on the team. And then the goalie for the men's team, his name is Tim something. I think it's Tim Miller. Could be wrong, but that's the point, right? Because you can name Megan Rapinoe, you can name Abby Wambach, who now just retired, you can name Alex Morgan from the women's team, and then you can go back to old teams and name Brandi Chastain, you can name Mia Hamm, these people from previous successes, but that traction's not there for most of the majority of the American public, and I think that speaks to how successful the women have been versus where the men are.
Now, you seem to be a giant advocate of this. Now, do you know of any celebrities that have spoken out about this issue?
Sure, yeah. If you look, you can find places where Beyonce, Viola Davis. Speaking of Beyonce, actually, we'll take that, right? She had a quote that said, "If you're not sure how you feel about equal pay, all you have to do is ask yourself whether you would want your daughter making 75 cents to the dollar that your neighbor's son would be making." And I think that's super poignant, and I think that's fair to ask, and I think it's fair to ask that that be equal, because why would you want your daughter to make 3/4 of what your neighbor's son is making? That's insane, right?
Thank you for that story, PJ. So with all of this talk about salary and career, it really makes me think about how excited I am to graduate this summer. Our next story involves a new trend of throwing glitter in the air in order to capture graduation photos. While the pictures may be pretty, the damage it is doing to our environment is just the opposite. Candace, how is this so?
So what happens is when any student or graduation student is going to be taking these pictures, what they don't realize, they leave the glitter there, or the confetti, whatever is left behind, and that can actually lead into our rivers by the storm drains that we have here on campus. So anytime it rains, we've been having a lot of rain lately, so anything that has been left behind easily can just be washed into those drains and go straight to the river, causing issues.
Great, well let's go ahead and take a look at that story.
With graduation approaching, many students are capturing the memory by taking photos across campus. But these confetti-tossed photos, which may seem to be a harmless new trend, may have a negative impact on the San Marcos River.
They do the confetti toss. It's popular, just like, woo, it's, the end of the year.
The problem is that once the picture is taken, the confetti is left behind all across campus.
When it rains, the confetti that is left on the sidewalks and on the pavement over by UAC or Old Main goes straight into the storm drains. It's not filtered, it's not treated.
The glitter and confetti that is left behind is actually washed into the drains, which leads straight to the San Marcos River. The river is home to many endangered species, and any disposal of waste into the rivers threatens their lives.
We have, probably hundreds of people taking these photos around campus and not really understanding the impact that those photos can have on the rivers.
A group of students that are part of the environmentalist team here at Texas State campus have been working with the city to install markers near the drains on both Texas State campus and around the city. These markers are part of a program to bring awareness and education about the environment.
Wow, well, I'll be sure to keep that in mind when I'm taking my graduation photos this summer. However, I do understand that these photos do still turn out super cute. So do you have any steps or advice that you could give a student that is just adamant about using this glitter in their pictures?
Yeah, definitely. So a couple suggestions would be, there was an email that was sent out from Texas State that had suggestions in there too. And basically what it said, you can use a tarp, just lay that down, throw your glitter, confetti, whatever you want to throw, and easy clean up, just roll that up, gone. Or, dustpan, just sweep it up. A little bit more time consuming, but you want to make sure you clean up everything. Another alternative that I thought was super cute was to use like flower petals or like any kind of wildflower, just throw that into the air, and then that way you don't have to worry because it's not going to hurt the environment because it's from the environment.
Exactly, super cute. All right, well.
That's a great idea. I'm going to keep that in mind.
Definitely.
So how long has the glitter throwing been a problem in San Marcos?
So really, this past semester, it seemed to be the most problematic time for this. It seems that previously only a couple of students have done this, and I guess they might have saw it on Instagram, just, friends seeing friends do this, and it just blew up this semester. Like, a lot of people have just been doing it, like hundreds of cases. Colleen Cook, that we saw in the video, she said they've been getting a lot of reports over this past couple months over this issue, just seeing the campus just plastered with lots of glitter and confetti. So.
And of course, it's a problem with all the rain we're getting right now, which has just been so high, and there's only supposed to be more to come as we get closer to graduation. Exactly. What I'm curious about, though, is you see the storm drains all over campus, but there's also sewer drains on campus and like sewage drains. So is it just the storm drains that have the problem, or is it both drains?
It's just the storm drains. So with storm drains, there's actually no filtration. So whatever lands in there goes straight into the river. And now for sewage drains, like, from like sinks, toilets, things like that, there's actually filtrated, so we don't have to worry about anything falling into those. Now, not only are there storm drains here on campus, but they're actually all over the city too. So like if you were to go somewhere outside of campus to take a picture, just be cautious that it could land in a storm drain and cause issues.
Awesome story, Candace. Up next, we'll see why one local record store had a super fly weekend, and we'll meet a man who uses toilet seats to create artwork. Seriously. Those stories up next on Studio A.
This is Jane. She's doing quite well in school. Quite well indeed. That's because of a quick visit to the Student Learning Assistance Center. What did she get there? Good grades and a boost of confidence. How did she get this? Well, SLAC offers specialized tutoring in math, history, writing, and more on the 4th floor of Alkek Library. SLAC provides students with support in the development of skills necessary in a university environment. Look for us at www.txstate.edu/SLAC to see what services are right for you. So be like Jane and boost your grades and your confidence. Visit SLAC today. For more information on SLAC and its services, check out our website.
Welcome back. So, like a lot of people, I am a huge music fan, and I especially like discovering independent artists that no one has heard about. Now, Jonathan, I know your story talks about a certain day of the year that kind of brings these artists into the limelight. Can you tell me a little bit more about this?
Yeah, I sure can. So in America and France, it started in 2007. There's Record Store Day, and this promotes the independent record stores as well as independent artists.
Awesome. Well, I want to hear more about this Record Store Day, so let's go ahead and take a look.
The past few years have seen a resurgence in record sales with vinyl outpacing CDs. Superfly here in San Marcos opened in 2012 and has been successful selling records, hosting regular live shows and offering a unique atmosphere.
We do as much as we can to support the music scene in Texas and just like artists in general.
But one day stands out at this location.
According to management, Record Store Day gets double the amount of sales than they get in an average work week.
Record Store Day is an international event practiced in France and America that has existed since 2007.
I'm a huge advocate for vinyl and people getting into the hobby and experiencing music the way I personally believe it should be experienced. So the fact that it's an ever-growing movement, I think is absolutely fantastic. I hope it continues for decades and decades and decades.
Artists like Metallica, Jack White, and Dave Grohl of the Foo Fighters are backers of this movement, saying it promotes America's independent record stores.
I think the promotion of vinyl is very important because, an artist puts out an entire album as a concept to me. So I think it's important for us to get back to appreciating music in its entirety. So that's one of the reasons I support the day, to support the vinyl movement.
That sounds really cool, Jonathan. But can you tell me and other viewers what day of the year Record Store Day is?
Yes, Record Store Day is actually the third Saturday of every April.
Awesome.
That's great. And so you can get vinyls on that day that are directly relative to the independent artists that are in the area, which is great for somebody like me who buys vinyls frequently. Now, I always buy vinyls for the audio quality. That's always been the thing. But what are maybe some other reasons that somebody might go back to the old archaic way of doing things?
That's awesome, PJ, that you are buying these records. A lot of people don't, and I did it for the same reason, for that sound quality. But Record Store Day is about something else. It's about promoting the local record stores, the local businesses, as well as the independent artists, And because if you didn't know this, whenever you stream something digitally, they basically get nothing. The artist gets 0.000 something of a percent. And if you buy the record, if you buy the CD, or even a little bit better is going on to iTunes, but records are the best way to promote your artist and get them the cash they deserve.
So how did Superfly end up here in San Marcos?
That's a really interesting question, Nina. What a lot of people don't know is that Superfly is actually owned by a much larger corporation called Lone Star Music. And it came about in 1999. But in 2009, 10 years later, this guy named Zach Jenner came along and he bought it. And he lives in Austin, and he thought there would be a market in San Marcos for record stores, and I believe he was right.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that story, John. So at the beginning of the episode, I mentioned a different form of lid being used as a form of artwork. The type of lid I was talking about, though, was a toilet bowl lid. Nina, your story talks about this. Can you tell me a little bit more about this form of artwork?
Yeah, so I was looking for something unique to do in San Antonio with my friends, and I stumbled upon the Barney Smith's Toilet Seat Art Museum, and I was like, what is this? So I went out there and did a story about it, and he paints on the toilet seats and makes cool art that has to do with like history, pop culture, and a bunch of other cool things.
Wow, that's awesome. I really want to hear about this museum. So let's go ahead and take a look.
For more than 50 years, 94-year-old retired plumber Barney Smith has used toilet seats as a canvas for his art.
I've got a lot of toilet seats in here.
He currently has more than 1,200 seats that depict moments in history, pop culture, and even showcase those who have visited the museum. One of the seats includes a piece of the Challenger space shuttle that was washed ashore, and another features $1 million all cut up from the Federal Reserve. Every seat is unique and has a story behind it.
I've got a piece of Saddam Hussein's toilet out of Baghdad. And the fella said that, well, I'm headed for Baghdad. I'll bring you back a souvenir.
After you're done enjoying the attraction, come have a seat with Barney and he can tell you all the history.
I've got ash from St. Helens that blew. My cousin said, well, before you leave here, you need to take some ash with you. He gave me a shoebox of ash, and so I have got ash on the toilet seat there.
All the seats are damaged and are donated to Barney by the Ferguson Enterprise. So where does the inspiration for each seat come from? Barney says he doesn't design a seat until someone gives him an idea. But a lot of his inspiration came from his travels with his now late wife.
Whenever you get up there, tell St. Peter that there's an old boy down here working on toilet seats that wants a place in heaven. So she's going to give me a good word up there, I'm sure.
Wow, that sounds awesome. I've never even heard about this museum or Mr. Barney. Do you know if other people know about it?
Yeah, actually, people come from like all over the country and all over the world to come see this place. He's been on shows like The View and the CBS Morning Show and other local news stations, so it's really cool.
That is really cool. I definitely want to visit. Now, is it open to everyone?
Yeah, you just give him a call and he'll be happy to open it up for you.
So I'm interested in going to this, but I do have a question. How much is it going to cost me?
It fits right into a college student's budget. It is free admission, but he does take donations for his art supplies. So.
Awesome. Well, thanks for that story, Nina. And thank you to all of you who have been watching us all semester long. Studio A will be taking a break over the summer, but we hope to see you again in the fall. For Candace Evans, Jonathan Borazjani, PJ Theberge, and Nina Durant, I'm Leighanne Coleman. Thanks again for watching.